Commander Veltar stood on the bridge of the massive ship called Eternal Harvest. Through the wide windows he could see the small blue planet that his people called Target World 4847. The humans who lived there called it Earth, but Veltar did not know this yet. His tall gray body moved smoothly as he walked between the control stations where his crew worked. "Report," Veltar said to his second officer, a female named Ethris. "Sir, our scans show the planet is ready for collection. The primitive life forms died out 50 years ago. We see no movement, no energy signals, nothing alive down there," Ethris replied, her three eyes focused on the glowing screen in front of her. Veltar nodded. This was normal. The Galactic Council had been watching thousands of worlds for millions of years. Sometimes young species destroyed themselves with wars or pollution. When this happened, the Council would come and clean up the planet. Then they would give it to a more deserving species. "Begin the standard procedure," Veltar ordered. "Send the announcement message. Even if no one is alive to hear it, the law requires us to announce our arrival." Far below on Earth, Dr. Kim Dae-ho sat in his office at the Seoul Space Monitoring Center. He was drinking his third cup of coffee and looking at boring reports when his computer started making loud warning sounds. Numbers and charts appeared on his screen showing energy readings unlike anything he had ever seen. "Park Hae-jin," he called to his assistant. "Come look at this." Park Hae-jin hurried over from her desk. She was young and smart, good with computers and languages. When she saw the readings, her eyes went wide. "Dr. Kim, these energy levels are impossible. Our equipment must be broken," she said. "Check the other stations," Kim Dae-ho ordered. Lee Dong-wook ran over from the tactical section. "Sir, we're getting the same readings from all our stations. Tokyo, Beijing, Moscow, everyone is seeing this. Something big just appeared at the edge of our solar system." At that same moment, in the city of Busan, a young woman named Choi Min-seo was working late at the university. She studied languages and codes for the government. Her job was usually boring, translating old documents or helping with foreign communications. But tonight her equipment picked up something strange. A voice was speaking in her headphones. It was not Korean, not English, not any human language she knew. But there was something about it that made sense. The sounds followed patterns like mathematics turned into speech. Min-seo had always been good with patterns. She started writing down what she heard. Back on the alien ship, Veltar watched as his crew prepared for the next step. They would send down cleaning drones to remove any remaining pollution or debris. After that, they would begin harvesting the planet's resources. It would take a few months to strip away the damaged atmosphere and rebuild it. Then Earth would be ready for its new owners. "Sir," said a young crew member named Cheklim, "I'm seeing some unusual readings from the planet's surface." "What kind of readings?" Veltar asked. "Small energy signatures, probably just leftover radiation from their wars. Nothing important." Veltar was not worried. He had done this job many times before. Dead planets sometimes had leftover energy from old machines or weapons. The cleaning drones would handle everything. In Seoul, Dr. Kim Dae-ho was on the phone with the president's office. The conversation was not going well. "Yes, Mr. President, I understand this sounds crazy, but something the size of a city just appeared in space. All our allies confirm it. We need to take this seriously." President Han Jae-sung was a practical man who did not believe in aliens or space monsters. But Kim Dae-ho was his best scientist and the reports were coming from everywhere. "What do you recommend, Doctor?" the president asked. "We should try to communicate with them. If they're friendly, maybe we can learn from them. If they're not..." Kim Dae-ho did not finish the sentence. At the same time, in a small apartment in Busan, Choi Min-seo was working frantically with her computers. She had recorded hours of the strange transmission. The more she studied it, the more convinced she became that it was a message. Someone was trying to talk to Earth. Her phone rang. It was her supervisor from the government language department. "Min-seo, we need you in Seoul immediately. Bring everything you have on those space signals. The president wants to see your work." "Yes, sir," she replied, her heart beating fast. She gathered her papers and recordings. Whatever was happening, she was now part of it. On the alien ship, Veltar was growing impatient. The cleaning drones were ready, and he wanted to finish this job quickly. The council had 6 more worlds for him to harvest this year. "Begin drone deployment," he ordered. "Target the areas with the most pollution. Clean everything." The drones were small but powerful. Each one could destroy a city block in minutes. They were designed to remove contamination, not to fight. The aliens never expected to find resistance on a dead world. As the first drones entered Earth's atmosphere, they headed toward the largest energy sources they could detect. Their targets were places like Seoul, Tokyo, New York, and London. The aliens thought these were just large pollution zones that needed cleaning. In Seoul, military radars picked up the incoming objects. General Yoon Tae-kyung was in the command center when the reports came in. "How many?" he asked his staff. 12 objects, sir. Moving fast. They'll reach the city in 20 minutes. The general looked at the radar screen. Whatever these things were, they were not meteors or satellites. They moved with purpose. Alert all defense systems. Scramble the fighters. And get me a line to Admiral Song Mi-young. If we're under attack, we need the Navy ready too. President Han Jae-sung arrived at the command center just as the first reports came in from other countries. The objects were heading for major cities all over the world. "This was not an accident, sir," General Yoon said. "I recommend we treat this as a hostile action. Whatever these things are, they're targeting our population centers." The president looked at Dr. Kim Dae-ho, who had just arrived with the young linguist Choi Min-seo. "Doctor, do you still think we should try to communicate?" Kim Dae-ho looked at the radar screen showing 12 objects racing toward Seoul. "I think, Mr. President, that they just communicated with us, and the message is not friendly." Above them in space, Commander Veltar watched the drone deployment with satisfaction. Soon the planet would be clean and ready for processing. He had no idea that below him, millions of humans were preparing to fight back. The first drone reached the outskirts of Seoul just as the sun was setting. It began scanning for contamination sources, ready to start its cleaning work. Its sensors detected large amounts of metal, concrete, and electromagnetic activity. To the drone's simple computer, this looked like exactly the kind of pollution it was designed to remove. In a small garden on the edge of the city, an old man named Kim Young-soo was watering his tomatoes. He had lived through wars and storms and hard times. When he saw the strange metal object flying overhead, he was not afraid. He had seen worse things. His granddaughter, Choi Soo-bin, ran up to him from the house. "Grandfather, the news says we should evacuate. There are dangerous things coming from space." Kim Young-soo looked at his tomatoes, then at the strange object in the sky. "I survived the war. I survived the storms. Some space lizards won't make me abandon my tomatoes." The drone began its descent toward the city center. In the command center, every human eye watched the screens. Fighter jets were racing to intercept. Defense systems were powering up. And in Busan, Choi Min-seo was still trying to decode the alien message, hoping to find some way to prevent what looked like the beginning of a war. Neither side knew that this first contact would change both species forever. The aliens thought they were cleaning up a dead world. The humans thought they were being invaded. Both were about to learn that the universe was far more complicated than they had ever imagined. The first human fighter jet met the alien drone above Seoul just as the evening news was starting. Major Park Ji-ho was flying his F-16 when he saw the strange metal object ahead of him. It was bigger than his plane but moved differently than anything he had ever seen. "Command, this is Eagle 1. I have visual contact with the target. It doesn't look like any aircraft I know," Park Ji-ho said into his radio. "Eagle 1, you are cleared to engage if it shows hostile intent," came the reply from General Yoon Tae-kyung. The drone noticed the fighter jet approaching. Its computer systems analyzed the object and decided it was some kind of contamination, probably debris flying around the dead planet. The drone fired a bright blue beam to destroy what it thought was junk. Park Ji-ho saw the beam coming and rolled his plane hard to the right. The beam missed but hit a nearby building, which simply disappeared in a flash of light. "Command, this thing just vaporized the Kim building. I'm engaging now." Park Ji-ho fired 2 missiles at the drone. The alien machine was fast, but the pilot had trained for years to hit moving targets. Both missiles struck the drone, causing it to spin and crash into the Han River. In the command center, everyone cheered. But General Yoon was not celebrating yet. That was one drone. Where are the other 11? Around the world, similar battles were starting. In Tokyo, Japanese pilots shot down 2 drones but lost 3 planes. In New York, American forces destroyed 1 drone that had begun attacking buildings in Manhattan. The aliens had expected to find a dead planet, but instead they found organized resistance. On the alien ship, Commander Veltar stared at his screens in shock. 3 drones had been destroyed. 2 more were damaged. This was impossible. "Sir," said Ethris, "I'm detecting coordinated attacks from multiple points on the planet's surface. These aren't random energy signatures. There are organized life forms down there. That can't be right. Our long-range scans showed this planet was dead. The scans were wrong, sir. Very wrong. Veltar felt a cold fear in his stomach. If there were living beings on this planet, and if they had just attacked them, then the Galactic Council had just committed an act of war against an unknown species. Recall all remaining drones immediately, he ordered. But it was too late. The humans had tasted victory and they were not going to stop fighting. In Seoul, Dr. Kim Dae-ho was examining pieces of the crashed drone that salvage teams had pulled from the river. The metal was unlike anything on Earth. The electronic components were centuries ahead of human technology. "This is incredible," he said to his assistant, engineer Kang So-jin. "Look at these circuits. They're using some kind of crystal-based processing system." Kang So-jin was young but brilliant with machines. She could take apart any device and understand how it worked. As she studied the alien technology, her mind was already racing with possibilities. "Dr. Kim, I think I can figure out how their weapons work. If we can copy this technology, do it," Kim Dae-ho said. "We may not have much time." President Han Jae-sung was in an emergency meeting with leaders from around the world. The video conference screen showed faces of presidents and prime ministers all looking worried and confused. "We need to know what we're dealing with," said the American president. "Are these aliens here to invade us or what?" "Choi Min-seo has been working on their communications," President Han replied. "What have you found?" The young linguist looked tired but determined. "Mr. President, I've translated part of their message. It's not good news. They called us contamination and said they were here to clean and harvest our planet." The room went quiet. Admiral Song Mi-young spoke first. "So they're here to kill us and take our world?" "It seems that way," Min-seo replied. "But there's something strange. Their message talks about us like we're already dead, like they thought no one was alive here." In space, the alien ship was having its own emergency meeting. Veltar stood before a large screen showing the faces of the 12 council leaders. Each leader represented a different alien species, and none of them looked happy. "Commander Veltar," said the head of the council, a creature that looked like a giant insect, "explained to us how a simple harvesting mission has turned into armed conflict." "Council leader, our advanced scans were incorrect. The planet still has intelligent life. They have technology and organized military forces." "Impossible. Our sensors are perfect. Your crew must have made an error." Veltar felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. "Respectfully, Council Leader, 3 of my drones have been destroyed. The evidence is clear." Another council member, a being that looked like it was made of living crystal, spoke up. "Even if there are some survivors, they are clearly a dangerous species. They attacked our peaceful drones without provocation. Sir, our drones were targeting their cities. From their perspective, we attacked first." The insect leader's voice turned cold. "Commander, you will continue the mission as planned. If these creatures are hostile, then they are a threat to galactic peace. Eliminate them and proceed with the harvest. But sir, we don't know how many of them there are or what they're capable of." "You have your orders, Commander." The screen went dark. Veltar stood alone on his bridge, knowing that he was about to start a war that could have been avoided. Back on Earth, the humans were not waiting around. In a secret facility outside Seoul, Kang So-jin and her team were working around the clock to understand the alien technology. They had pieces from 3 different drones now, and the engineer was making remarkable progress. "The power source is the key," she explained to Dr. Kim Dae-ho. "It's some kind of controlled fusion reaction, but tiny. One of these power cells has more energy than our biggest nuclear reactor. Can we copy it?" "I think so. Give me 3 days." Meanwhile, Major Park Ji-ho was meeting with other pilots who had fought the drones. They were sharing information about alien tactics and weaknesses. "They're fast," said a Japanese pilot named Tanaka, "but they turn like trucks. If you can get close, they can't track you well. Their shields are strong in front," added an American pilot, "but they seem weaker on the sides and back." General Yoon was taking notes. The military was learning fast, preparing for the next attack they all knew was coming. In Busan, an old fisherman named Yang Tai-ho was sitting on his boat, looking at the strange lights in the sky. He had spent his whole life on the ocean, watching storms and surviving rough weather. The alien ship looked big and dangerous, but Yang had seen typhoons that could sink entire fleets. He was not impressed. His neighbor, a woman named Kim Mi-ran, who ran a small restaurant, came down to the dock. "Yang, the government says we should evacuate inland. These space people might attack the coast." Yang looked at his boat, then at the ocean that had been his life for 60 years. Miran, I've been in storms that would sink that spaceship. I'm not running from anything that can't handle a good wave. But not everyone was staying calm. In Seoul, panic was starting to spread. The streets filled with people trying to leave the city. Families packed their cars with everything they could carry. The highways became giant traffic jams. However, many people were not running. In neighborhoods across the city, groups were forming to help each other. Lee Ye-jin, a nurse at Seoul National Hospital, organized volunteers to help elderly people who couldn't evacuate. Kim Woo-bin, a construction worker, gathered his crew to build shelters and barriers. If these aliens want our city, Kim Woo-bin told his workers, they'll have to take it from us. High above, Commander Veltar was preparing for the second wave of attacks. This time he would send armed fighters instead of cleaning drones. But he was also ordering his science team to study the human resistance. How could a species they thought was extinct put up such organized opposition? The alien scientist Zixara was analyzing the human tactics. What she found disturbed her. The humans had adapted to alien technology in a matter of hours. They were sharing information across the planet instantly. Most shocking of all, they seemed to be getting stronger as the fight continued, not weaker. Commander, she reported, these beings are unlike any species in our database. Most civilizations become confused and surrender when faced with superior technology. These humans are studying our weapons and learning to fight back. Are they a threat to the fleet? Unknown, sir. But they're learning very fast. As night fell over Earth, both sides prepared for a much larger battle. The aliens were bringing more ships and weapons. The humans were building new defenses with technology they barely understood. Neither side knew that this was just the beginning of a conflict that would change the galaxy forever. In his garden, old Kim Young-soo was still watering his tomatoes, ignoring the sirens and emergency broadcasts. His granddaughter Subin had tried to convince him to leave, but he refused. Grandfather, this is serious. Real aliens are attacking us. Kim Young-soo looked up at the stars where strange lights were moving across the sky. Subin? I grew up when people said the world would end every few years. Wars, bombs, disasters. The world never ended, and my tomatoes always grew back stronger after the storms. He went back to his watering. Above them, alien warships were moving into position for the morning attack. 3 days after the first attack, engineer Kang So-jin made a breakthrough. In her laboratory beneath Seoul, she had built the first human-alien hybrid weapon. It looked like a normal rifle, but it fired the same blue energy beams as the alien drones. Dr. Kim, you need to see this, she called excitedly. Dr. Kim Dae-ho hurried over as Kang aimed the weapon at a thick steel plate. The blue beam cut through the metal like butter. Incredible. How did you manage this so quickly? The aliens are smart, but they build things in a very complicated way, Kang explained. They use thousands of parts when they could use dozens. I simplified their design and made it work with our materials. Can you make more? Give me a factory in a week. I can arm 1,000 soldiers. Dr. Kim was already reaching for his phone to call the president, but first he wanted to understand something else about their enemies. In another part of the facility, Dr. Lim Hyun-woo was studying recordings of the alien attacks. As a scientist who studied animal behavior, he wanted to understand how the aliens thought and fought. They're too organized, he told his assistant. Look at this footage. Every alien ship moves in perfect formation. Every attack follows the exact same pattern. They're like a machine. Is that bad for us? Maybe not. Machines are predictable. If we can figure out their patterns, we can stay ahead of them. But Dr. Lim was discovering something even more important. The aliens seemed to have no experience with real warfare. Their attacks were powerful but simple. When something unexpected happened, they took a long time to adapt. It's like they've forgotten how to fight, he muttered. Meanwhile, in the underground tunnels beneath Seoul, a different kind of war was developing. Kim Woo-bin and his construction crew had been joined by hundreds of volunteers. They were building a hidden city in the subway tunnels, sewers, and basement levels. The aliens seemed to attack from above, Kim explained to Nurse Lee Ye-jin. So we'll fight from below. Lee had organized medical stations throughout the tunnel system. How long can we hide down here? We're not hiding, said Kim with a grin. We're getting ready to surprise them. In the tunnels, people from every part of Korean society were working together. Teachers like Go Hyo-jin set up schools for children. Farmers like Nam Ki-tae figured out how to grow food in underground gardens. Shop owner Beijun Seok organized supply distribution. Everyone contributed something, and everyone was learning to use the new alien-human weapons that Kang So-jin's teams were producing. Up in space, the alien fleet was growing larger. Commander Veltar now had 5 ships under his command, and more were coming. But he was also getting disturbing reports from his science team. "Commander," said researcher Zixara, "I've analyzed the wreckage from our destroyed drones. The humans have been taking pieces and studying them. That's normal. Most species try to understand new technology. Sir, they're not just studying it. They're improving it. Look at these scans from yesterday's battle." Veltar looked at the screen. It showed human soldiers using weapons that looked similar to alien energy rifles, but smaller and more efficient. "They've made our weapons better in 3 days." "Yes, sir. And they're producing them quickly. We estimate they've built over 1,000 copies already." This news worried Veltar more than he wanted to admit. The Galactic Council had been the most advanced civilization in the galaxy for millions of years. No species had ever improved on their technology so quickly. What about their tactics? Even more concerning, sir. They don't fight like any species in our records. Most civilizations either surrender or fight in organized military units. These humans do both and neither. Zixara showed him footage from around the world. In some places, they fight with large armies and sophisticated equipment. In other places, small groups use hit-and-run tactics. They adapt their strategy to each situation. Recommend next action? "Sir, I think we should negotiate. This species is learning too fast. If we continue fighting, they may become a real threat." But before Veltar could respond, a message came from the Galactic Council. War Master Drexoth was coming with the Annihilation Fleet. The Council had decided that humanity was too dangerous to be allowed to survive. On Earth, the humans were also learning about their enemies. In a captured alien escape pod, prisoner Keklim was being questioned by military intelligence. The young alien soldier was terrified but also curious about his captors. "Why do you fight so much?" Keklim asked through a translation device that Choi Min-seo had built. "Your planet is always at war. Your history is full of violence and disaster. How do you stand it?" The interrogator was Yang Tai-ho, the old fisherman who had volunteered for this job because he was good at talking to people. "Son," Yang said gently, "you think fighting makes us violent, but fighting also makes us strong. Every storm I survived made me a better sailor. Every hard winter made me tougher. But war is terrible. Beings die. Cities are destroyed." "Yes," Yang agreed. "War is terrible. That's why we get very good at winning wars quickly." Keklim was confused. In his society, war had been eliminated thousands of years ago. The Galactic Council maintained peace through overwhelming force and strict control. No one fought because no one could win against the Council. "How can you be happy when your life is so dangerous?" Yang smiled. "You know what makes me happy? My granddaughter learning to fish. Watching my tomatoes grow, sitting on my boat during a calm sunset. The dangerous times make the peaceful times more precious." This conversation was being recorded and studied by Dr. Lim Hyun-woo. He was beginning to understand something important about the difference between humans and aliens. The aliens have had peace for so long that they've forgotten how to handle conflict, he explained to President Han Jae-sung. "They're like muscles that haven't been used. Strong but stiff, and we're like Olympic athletes. We've been training for this fight our whole history, even if we didn't know it." President Han was meeting with his military commanders to plan the defense of South Korea. General Yoon had surprising news. "Sir, our forces are performing better than expected. The alien weapons are powerful, but their tactics are simple. Our pilots are learning to outmaneuver them." Admiral Song added, "The underground resistance in Seoul is growing. Kim Woo-bin's tunnel networks are connecting with similar groups in other cities. We're building a hidden army. What about the new alien reinforcements? We're ready for them," General Yoon said confidently. "Kang So-jin's factories are producing alien tech weapons around the clock, and our people are adapting faster than the aliens can adjust." But the president was worried about something else. What happens when they decide to stop playing games and really try to destroy us? No one had a good answer to that question. In Busan, the situation was getting more complex. The aliens had landed a small base near the coast, expecting to use it as a staging area. Instead, they found themselves constantly harassed by local resistance. Restaurant owner Kim Mi-ran had turned her business into a coordination center for civilian resistance. During the day, she served food to refugees. At night, she helped plan attacks on alien supply lines. The aliens don't understand our food culture, she explained to fisherman Yang Tai Ho during one of his visits. They see our fish markets and restaurants as primitive. They don't realize we're feeding an army. Yang nodded. They also don't understand our boats. They think we're just catching fish. They don't notice when we're watching their patrols and reporting their movements. The coastal resistance was led by Captain Shin Bo-ra, a former Navy officer who had adapted her maritime tactics to fight aliens. Her small boats could hide among the fishing fleet, strike quickly and disappear before the aliens could respond. The aliens rule the sky and space, she told her crews. But the ocean is still ours. Back in Seoul, young Choi Soo-bin was helping her grandfather Kim Young-soo defend his garden. The old man had refused to evacuate, and now their neighborhood was close to the fighting. "Grandfather, why is your garden so important?" Soo-bin asked as they reinforced the fence with materials scavenged from destroyed buildings. "Soo-bin, these tomatoes survived the war, the floods, and 3 different governments. They're stronger now than when I first planted them, just like Korea, just like all of us." The girl looked at the plants growing in soil mixed with debris from alien attacks. They were indeed thriving, somehow taking nutrients from the chaos around them. "Are we like the tomatoes, grandfather?" "Exactly like the tomatoes." As night fell, both sides prepared for the next phase of the war. The aliens were bringing their most powerful warships. The humans were ready with weapons and tactics that had never existed before. But in the underground tunnels, in the coastal hideouts, and in gardens growing in bomb craters, something else was happening. Humanity was not just surviving or adapting, they were evolving, becoming something stronger and more determined with each passing day. The aliens had expected to find a dead world. Instead, they had awakened something that had been sleeping. And now it was fully awake and very, very angry. War Master Drexoth arrived with 20 ships and a simple plan: destroy every human city until the species surrendered or went extinct. His flagship, the Galaxy's Fist, was 10 times larger than Commander Veltar's ship and carried enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. "Commander Veltar," Drexoth said during their first meeting, "you have made this simple task into a galactic embarrassment. I am here to finish what you should have completed weeks ago." Veltar felt shame and anger, but also worry. "War Master, these humans are not like other species. They learn very quickly, and I don't care if they learn to fly. They are primitives on one small planet. We are the masters of 1,000 worlds." Drexoth had never lost a battle. His species, the Sectar, were natural warriors who had dominated their home galaxy before joining the Council. But they had not fought a real war in centuries. Their recent battles had been against weak colonies or rebel groups who gave up quickly. "Begin orbital bombardment of their largest cities," Drexoth ordered. "Make examples. The survivors will surrender." But the humans had been preparing for this moment. Admiral Song Mi-young stood in the command center of a captured alien ship that her crews had not only repaired but improved. Engineer Oh Sang-hoon and pilot Jeon Yoon-ji had worked for weeks to understand every system. "Admiral," Oh reported, "we've increased the shield efficiency by 30% and the weapons power by 40%. The aliens built this ship to last forever, but they didn't build it to perform at maximum ability. How is that possible?" "They're scared of breaking things," John explained. "All their systems run at 60% capacity to avoid any risk of failure. We remove those safety limits." The ship, renamed the Soul's Revenge, lifted off just as Drexoth's bombardment began. But instead of targeting empty cities, the alien beams struck carefully prepared decoy buildings while the real population hid in the underground tunnel networks. "War Master," reported a confused alien officer, "the humans evacuated their cities before we attacked. Somehow they knew our plan. Impossible. Begin bombing the empty areas anyway. We'll force them to come out." But the humans didn't come out. Instead, they came up behind the alien fleet. The Soul's Revenge and 5 smaller captured ships struck the alien formation from below, where their sensors were weakest. Admiral Song's crews used human tactics with alien technology, attacking unpredictably and retreating before the enemy could respond. "War Master," shouted an alarm-filled voice. "Human ships are attacking from Sector 7. "How did they get ships?" Drexoth watched in growing rage as human pilots flew alien vessels with skill that should have taken years to develop. Worse, they were flying them better than his own crews. On the ground, the war was evolving in ways no one had expected. Engineer Kang So-jin had not just copied alien weapons. She had built entire factories that could produce them faster than the aliens themselves. "Dr. Kim," she reported with excitement, "we're now making weapons that are better than the original alien designs. Our materials are cruder, but our engineering is more efficient." In the underground city beneath Seoul, thousands of people were living and working in a hidden society. Teacher Go Hyojin ran schools where children learned mathematics by calculating weapon trajectories. Farmer Nam Ki-tae grew vegetables in hydroponic gardens powered by alien energy cells. "We're not just surviving," Nam told his workers. "We're building a better society while we fight for it." The tunnel networks had expanded to connect Seoul with other cities. Messages and supplies moved through underground highways that the aliens couldn't detect from space. Kim Woo-bin had become a general without meaning to, commanding construction crews who were now expert tunnel fighters. "The aliens control the surface," he explained to new recruits. "But Korea has been underground for thousands of years. We know how to live in the earth." But the humans were learning something else that disturbed their leaders. Dr. Lim Hyun-woo had been studying alien biology from captured soldiers and crashed ships. What he found changed everything. "President Han," he reported in an urgent meeting, "I need to show you something about our enemies." He displayed charts and medical scans on the conference room screen. "The aliens are not just peaceful by choice. They've been peaceful for so long that they've lost the ability to handle stress and conflict." "What do you mean?" "Their bodies produce stress hormones like ours, but they have no mechanism to deal with them. When an alien faces real danger or pressure, their nervous system starts to break down. They literally cannot think clearly during combat." General Yoon leaned forward. "Are you saying they're naturally bad at war?" "I'm saying they've eliminated war from their societies for so long that they've lost the biological ability to fight effectively. It's like a muscle that's never been used. And we've been fighting storms, famines, diseases, and each other for our entire evolutionary history. Our stress response makes us faster, stronger, and smarter. What breaks them makes us more dangerous." This information reached Admiral Song just as her fleet was engaging Drexoth's forces near the moon. The alien ships were powerful but predictable. When human tactics confused them, they became slower and less coordinated. "All ships," Song commanded, "use random attack patterns. Don't let them predict your movements." The battle became a dance of chaos versus order, with the humans improvising and the aliens struggling to adapt to unexpected situations. But the aliens had one advantage: numbers. For every ship the humans captured or built, the aliens had 10 more coming from their vast empire. "Admiral," reported Communications Officer Park Min-ho, "we're detecting massive energy signatures at the edge of the solar system. At least 50 more alien ships are approaching." Song felt her heart sink. The humans were winning individual battles, but they were running out of time and resources. On the alien flagship, War Master Drexoth was experiencing something he had never felt before. Fear. Not fear of death, which he understood, but fear of failure against an impossible enemy. "How are they doing this?" he demanded of his science team. "They're a primitive species on one planet. We are the Galactic Council." Scientist Zixara had been studying human behavior and had reached a disturbing conclusion. "War Master, I believe we have encountered something unprecedented. This species thrives on conflict and crisis. Every setback makes them more determined and creative." "That's impossible. All intelligent life seeks peace and stability. Not these humans, sir. Look at their history." She showed him data about human wars, disasters, and recoveries. Every time their civilization is nearly destroyed, they rebuild it stronger than before. They see catastrophe as an opportunity to improve. Drexoth stared at the data. In his species' history, any major disaster or conflict led to centuries of decline. The idea of becoming stronger through suffering was alien to him. "What are you recommending?" "Immediate withdrawal, sir. If we continue this conflict, we risk creating an enemy that could threaten the entire council." But Drexoth could not retreat. His pride, his career, and the reputation of the council were at stake. "Double the bombardment. If they want to fight, we'll give them more war than they can handle." On Earth, the humans were reaching the same conclusion from the opposite direction. President Han received reports from resistance leaders around the world. Despite heavy fighting, human forces were holding their ground and even winning in some areas. "The aliens are getting weaker," reported General Yoon. "Our intelligence shows their crews are suffering from stress-related breakdowns. Their command structure is becoming chaotic." But they have more ships coming, President Han pointed out. Yes, sir. But each new crew has even less combat experience than the last one. They're sending peacekeepers to fight a war. In Busan, fisherman Yang Taeho was having another conversation with the alien prisoner Kek Lim. The young alien was becoming more depressed as the war continued. I don't understand your species, Kek Lim said sadly. You're dying and suffering, but you seem to be getting happier and more energetic. Yang thought about this while watching the sunset over the ocean. Young one, you know what my grandfather told me? A calm sea never made a skilled sailor. We don't enjoy the storm, but we enjoy becoming strong enough to survive it. But why not avoid the storm entirely? Because then you never learn to sail. As night fell over the war-torn planet, both sides prepared for what everyone knew would be the final phase of the conflict. The aliens were bringing everything they had. The humans were ready with weapons and tactics that had never existed before. But there was something else happening that neither side fully understood. Deep in the alien databases, automated systems had detected the unusual energy patterns of the human resistance. Ancient protocols were activating, protocols that had been dormant for millions of years. The galaxy was about to remember why some worlds were labeled as death worlds and forbidden to all civilized species. And Earth, it turned out, was the most dangerous death world of all. The final battle began at dawn over the Korean peninsula. War Master Drexoth had brought 80 ships and decided to end the human resistance with overwhelming force. But as his fleet descended toward Earth, something unexpected happened. Ancient automated systems that had been sleeping in space for millions of years suddenly came alive. Massive machines, older than the Galactic Council itself, began moving toward the solar system. Their message was simple and terrifying. Unauthorized interference with Death World detected. Termination protocol activated. What are those things? Drexoth demanded as his sensors detected the approaching machines. Scientist Zixara checked the ancient databases with growing horror. War Master, those are the Gardner machines. They were built by the first civilization to protect certain worlds from interference. Protect worlds? Why? Because some planets produce species too dangerous to be allowed into the galaxy unprepared. Earth is marked as a Class 12 death world, the most dangerous classification possible. Drexoth felt ice in his veins. Are you telling me we've been fighting a species that was quarantined for being too dangerous? Yes, sir. And we broke the quarantine. On Earth, Dr. Kim Dae-ho made the same discovery while studying alien databases from captured ships. President Han, you need to see this immediately. In the underground command center, Kim displayed star charts that showed Earth's position in what the aliens called the Forbidden Zone. They've known about us for millions of years, Kim explained. But they classified Earth as too dangerous for contact. Their records show that Death World species are incredibly powerful if they survive to space age. Then why did they attack us? They thought we were extinct. Their sensors couldn't detect our technology because it's so different from theirs. They were coming to harvest what they thought was an empty planet. President Han stared at the alien text, describing humans as adaptive predators with extreme survival capabilities and dangerous innovation potential. So were the monsters in their fairy tales? It appears so, sir. Above them, the battle was reaching its climax. Admiral Song Mi-young commanded 15 captured alien ships against Drexoth's massive fleet. Her forces were outnumbered 6-1, but they had advantages the aliens couldn't match. All ships, Song commanded, use Earth tactics, fight dirty. The human ships scattered in all directions using the planet's gravity and magnetic field to confuse alien targeting systems. They hid behind the moon, used asteroids as cover, and attacked from angles the aliens never expected. Lieutenant Colonel Park Min-ho led the ground defense from hidden positions in the mountains. His forces had weapons that mixed human creativity with alien technology, creating devastating combinations the enemy had never seen. They're trying to land troops near Seoul, Park reported. Should we engage conventionally? Negative, replied General Yoon. Use the mountain protocol. Park grinned. The humans had spent weeks preparing the Korean mountains for battle. They had used alien technology to create controlled avalanches, redirected rivers, and turned the landscape itself into a weapon. As alien landing craft approached the mountains, the humans triggered their traps. Mountainsides collapsed in precisely calculated ways. Rivers suddenly changed course to flood alien positions, and storms of rocks fell from the sky. War Master Drexoth watched in disbelief as his elite troops were destroyed not by enemy soldiers, but by the planet itself. How are they controlling the weather and geology? He demanded. They're not controlling it, sir, Zixara replied with growing awe. They're cooperating with it. They've learned to work with their environment instead of against it. But the real shock came when the Gardner machines arrived. The ancient automatons were the size of cities, built by a civilization so old that even the Council had forgotten about them. They had one purpose: to prevent young species from interfering with death worlds. Attention Galactic Council forces. The machines broadcast in perfect Council standard. You have violated Galactic Protection Protocol 1. Withdraw immediately or face termination. Drexoth was trapped. If he retreated, his career was over. If he stayed, he faced the legendary Gardner machines that no living being had ever seen. We are the Galactic Council, he replied. We have authority over all worlds in this galaxy. Negative. Death world species are protected until they achieve galactic readiness. This species is approaching readiness. Your interference is terminated. The Gardner machines opened fire on both fleets, but their weapons carefully avoided damaging human ships while devastating alien vessels. Within minutes, half of Drexoth's fleet was disabled. On Earth, the humans watched in amazement as their most powerful enemies were casually destroyed by machines they had never seen before. Are those things on our side? Asked Admiral Song. I don't think they're on anyone's side, replied Dr. Kim Daeho as he studied the energy patterns. I think they're following very old laws that we don't understand yet. The lead Gardner machine sent a message directly to Earth's governments. The translation was handled by Choi Min Seo, who had become the world's expert on alien languages. People of Earth, the message said, you have survived the trial by conflict. Your species shows readiness for galactic contact. The quarantine is lifted. You may now choose your own path among the stars. President Han looked at his advisors. What does that mean? I think, said Dr. Lim Hyunwoo, it means we just graduated. War Master Drexoth realized that his only choice was surrender or death. With most of his fleet disabled, and the Gardner machines still active, he opened communications with the human leaders. This is War Master Drexoth of the Galactic Council. I request a negotiations. The talks took place on the captured alien ship Soul's Revenge. President Han, General Yoon, and Admiral Song met with Drexoth and the surviving alien commanders. The fisherman Yang Taiho was there as a translator along with young Choi Min Seo. Your species, Drexoth said slowly, is not what we expected. What did you expect? Asked President Han. Primitives who would surrender quickly or die bravely. Not this. Admiral Song leaned forward. What is this? Commander Veltar, who had been silent throughout the war's final phase, spoke up. A species that becomes more dangerous when threatened. That learns from every setback. That treats impossible odds as interesting challenges. Yang Taiho smiled. That's what happens when you live on a planet that tries to kill you every day for millions of years. You either get stronger or you die out. The negotiations led to something unprecedented in galactic history, a mutual defense treaty between Earth and the Galactic Council. The humans would share their adaptive technologies and crisis management skills. The aliens would provide access to galactic civilization and advanced sciences. But, insisted President Han, Earth remains independent. We're joining your galactic community as equals, not subjects. Drexoth nodded reluctantly. He had no choice. The Gardner machines made it clear that humanity was now under galactic protection laws. 6 months later, Commander Veltar sat in a cafe in Seoul, watching human children play in a park built where a battlefield had been. Dr. Kim Daeho joined him for their weekly meeting. Your species still amazes me, Veltar said. You build gardens where wars were fought. That's what we do, Kim replied. We make life grow from destruction. Around them, the city was bustling with activity. Korean engineers worked alongside alien technicians, building new technologies that neither species could have created alone. Students from across the galaxy came to study at Earth universities, learning human concepts like crisis adaptation and innovative resilience. In Busan, Yang Taiho had opened a small school where young aliens learned human philosophy. His favorite student was Chek Lim, who had chosen to stay on Earth rather than return to the sterile safety of Council space. Teacher Yang, Chek Lim asked during one lesson, why do humans sing and laugh even during hard times? Yang looked out at the ocean, where human and alien ships worked together to explore the seafloor. Because, young one, if you only celebrate when times are easy, you miss most of life. We learn to find joy in the struggle itself. In his garden, old Kim Young-soo was teaching his granddaughter Soo-bin and several young alien visitors how to grow tomatoes in soil mixed with alien minerals. The plants were thriving in ways that amazed the galactic botanists. "Grandfather," Soo-bin asked, "why do the aliens say we're special?" Kim Young-soo looked at the children, human and alien, working together in the dirt. "Soo-bin, they spent millions of years trying to avoid problems. We spent millions of years learning to solve them. That's what makes us different." At the Seoul Space Center, Dr. Kim Dae-ho and engineer Kang So-jin were working on humanity's first interstellar ship. It combined human innovation with alien technology to create something entirely new. "The aliens build ships to last forever and never break down," Kang explained to visiting council engineers. "We build ships to be repaired, modified, and improved. Our ship will get better every time something goes wrong with it." The alien engineers took notes frantically, trying to understand the human concept of beneficial failure. President Han received regular reports about Earth's new status in the galaxy. Dozens of species were requesting human advisors to help them prepare for crises. Others wanted to establish hardship training centers, where their young could learn resilience.